On Sunday afternoon, Steph Curry put on another legacy-defining performance by dropping 50 points on Fox's head, which is the most ever in a Game 7 in NBA history. The Warriors were down 2-0 in the series and nearly everybody counted them out, but Steph pulled them out from the grave and led them to another series win. I think that the team as a whole is going to gain so much confidence from that series win, and that they have a legit shot at making another run for another ring. I don't know if Steph's legacy was on the line that game, but if it was, it just adds to the list of incredible performances when everything is on the line for his team and his career. So in honor of his all-time performance, here are 5 times when Steph Curry's legacy was on the line and he responded. In a season where the Warriors were coming off of a championship, and Steph was the first ever unanimous MVP, receiving the honor for the second year in a row, Golden State put on the greatest regular season of all time by going 73-9, beating the record of the Jordan-led 72-10 Chicago Bulls. The Warriors were back in the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row, where they would face off against a two-headed monster in OKC, led by Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. OKC took control of the series and shockingly got up 3-1 before the Warriors railed off 2 straight wins, thank you Clay, and forced a Game 7 in the Bay Area. If Curry and the Warriors were to lose this game, it would be one of the biggest disappointments in NBA history, and Curry's legacy would be severely tainted if the team with the greatest record of all time and the only unanimous MVP in NBA history got bounced in the conference finals. But of course, Curry responded with a 36-point and 7-3 performance to push his team over the top and reach the finals for the second straight year. At one point during Game 7, the Warriors were trailing by 13 and cut the lead down to 6 at the end of the first half on an insanely tough left-handed finish by Steph. The second half was all Curry. He dropped 24 points and 5 threes and delivered the dagger with a deep triple to save the season for the Warriors, while continuing to establish his legacy as one of the game's all-time greats. The Warriors ended up selling big time in the finals, but for a moment they were on top of the NBA world. I also have a video that goes into this series as one of the greatest 3-1 comebacks that never gets talked about. So go watch that shit or else you're fucking After a season where KD joined the Warriors and they steamrolled through the playoffs with a record of 16-1 by beating the Cavs in the NBA Finals, Curry and the Warriors were back in the Western Conference Final for the second year in a row, but this time it wasn't so easy against the 65-win Rockets team led by CP3 and James Harden. Houston got up 3-2 in the series, but Golden State responded with a dominant victory on home court, thank you Clay, and forced a Game 7 on the road. It was a bit of a surprise that the Rockets even pushed this Warriors team to 7 games, and if the Dubs were to lose, it would be an embarrassment to have that good of a team and not even make the finals. Curry's legacy was already well established at the time, but a loss in the Western Conference Final would leave a sizable stain on his career. To no surprise, Curry responded with a near triple-double, dropping 27, 9, and 10 with 7 3-pointers and 4 steals. Curry and the Warriors trailed by as much as 17 points during the game and were trailing by 11 at the half. And once again, Curry responded in the second half by dropping 14 points and 5 threes in the third quarter to get the Warriors back in the game, and they never looked back. You can also thank the Rockets for blowing huge dick and missing 27 straight threes, and also KD, who had 34 points on the game. In what could have been one of the biggest shockers in NBA history, Curry took over the game in every way and led the Warriors to their second straight finals, while cementing his legacy as an all-time clutch performer, as the Warriors would go on to win back-to-back championships against the Cavs in the finals. On their hunt for a three-peat, Steph Curry and the Warriors once again faced off against the Houston Rockets, but this time in the second round of the 2019 playoffs. In the third quarter of Game 5, KD injured his calf and was out for the rest of the game and would miss Game 6. The Warriors ended up winning Game 5 to take a 3-2 series lead back to Houston in an attempt to close out the series without one of the greatest players of all time. Even if the Warriors were to lose in Game 6, they would have another chance to close out the series at home in a Game 7. We hadn't seen Curry without KD by his side for some time, and if the Warriors were to lose Game 6 and lose the series, Curry would undoubtedly be criticized beyond belief for not being able to close out a series without a superstar teammate, even though we've seen him do it before. There were debates on if Golden State would be able to close out the series without KD against a healthy Houston team hungry for revenge from last season. And the talks about Curry being able to perform without KD by his side were getting louder and louder after a 0.0 for 5 first half from Steph in Game 6. But once again, the second half is where he would take over, as he dropped 33 with 23 of those points coming in the fourth quarter, as he knocked down clutch shot after clutch shot while embarrassing PJ Tucker to knock down the dagger three-pointer with just under a minute and a half left in the game to give the Warriors a 5-point lead, as Steph finished the game with 33 points, all of them coming in the second half. Curry silenced everyone who had any doubt about his ability to perform on his own on the biggest stage, while continuously adding to his legacy and outperforming anybody who has been in his way. The Steph-led Warriors would go on to sweep the Blazers in the conference finals as Curry continued to dominate without KD, but they would ultimately lose to the Raptors in the finals in 6 games, as Golden State had too many injuries to overcome. Back in the playoffs and the NBA Finals for the first time since 2019, Curry and the Warriors were desperate for their 4th title in 8 years as they faced off against a young and defensively sound Boston Celtics team who looked primed to win a championship. This Golden State team had no KD, and it was up to the big three and mostly Steph to perform at the highest possible level. After a Game 3 loss on the road, the Celtics went up 2-1 in the series, and everything was on the line for Curry and the Warriors because a loss in Game 4 would mean a 3-1 deficit that is incredibly difficult to come back from. But it's not impossible because we've seen it in 2016. There was pressure on Curry to perform without a super team and KD by his side and prove that he could still win a championship essentially on his own while facing the most difficult task up to this point in his career. The loss in Game 4 would affect his legacy, as the argument would be that he only won championships against an injured Cavs team in 2015 and with the greatest team ever in 2017 and 18. To no surprise, Steph proved the world once again that he is one of the best finals and playoff performers of all time, as he would explode for 43 points and 10 boards with 7 threes to carry his team to a Game 4 win in an insanely hostile environment. He knocked down 2 deep threes in the first quarter and talked shit to the crowd, and from that point on, everyone who was watching knew that he was going to do something special.
I don't hate him. I hate Draymond. I hate Clay. I don't hate Steph. He didn't say a fucking word. I actually said one thing to him. He turned because I had seats right there. I'm like, you're going to have to do it yourself. He goes, I know I am.
Whoa, really?
Said, yeah.
Whoa.
So, like, I don't.
And he did.
Alpha.
And he did.
Yo, Steph is a real alpha, bro. He don't look like it.
Like, I fucking hate LeBron. I don't hate Steph.
He splashed a dagger 3 in Derek White's face to put Golden State up 6 with under 2 minutes left to go, as the Warriors would hold on and win the game. Steph and the Dubs didn't look back and won the next 2 games on their way to win yet another championship, as Steph walked away with his 4th ring and first ever Finals MVP. It's a little overdue. In my eyes, with this championship run, Curry established himself as a top 10 player of all time, proving that he could literally do it on his own, and if his legacy was still in question for anybody, there should now be no question to his ability to be at his absolute peak when it matters most. I understand that people will make the argument and say that his legacy wasn't on the line for this first round Game 7 performance, but he just added the cherry on top when it comes to his ability to perform in the biggest moments. Coming off of a championship, to their standards, the Warriors had a terrible regular season, but there was still hope among Warrior fans that they can miraculously start clicking and make a run for back-to-back championships. Curry and the Dubs were facing off against one of the best offenses in NBA history in the Sacramento Kings in the first round of the playoffs. The Kings got up 2-0 in the series, and doubt crept into just about everybody's mind about the possibility of Golden State losing in the first round. The Warriors would answer with 3 straight wins, and after a surprising Game 6 loss at home, there would be a Game 7 where the Warriors' dynasty was on the line. Steph's legacy was somewhat on the line because he hadn't really proven that he could carry an underperforming team through the playoffs, like someone named LeBron has on multiple occasions. Steph was also carrying the weight of the dynasty on his shoulders, as it would take a godlike level performance to beat Sac on the road, which has been their kryptonite all season long. Should anyone be surprised though? Steph drops 50 and 7 threes to carry the fuck out of the Warriors over the first round finish line, and even though he didn't have to prove himself, he did it again. It's the most points ever in a Game 7 in NBA history, and one of the greatest performances in NBA playoff history. He went crazy in the second half, dropping 30 points with 16 of them coming in the fourth quarter. The ripple effects of this performance aren't known yet, but I bet you that Golden State locker room gained so much fucking confidence, and another championship run just may be possible. This series win sets up another Curry vs LeBron matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised if Steph plays otherworldly, continuing to prove everybody wrong, as the battle for the greatest player of this generation will continue in round 2 of the playoffs.